Your biceps are finally popping. Your pump looks insane in the mirror, but then you throw on a t-shirt and suddenly you look like you've never lifted a day in your life. Let me fix that. You can have big biceps, solid chest, and even sharp abs, but if your forearms look like noodles hanging off your sleeves, game over. Because when it comes to looking strong, forearms are the real cheat code, just like a thick neck. And the reason is simple, they're always visible. Grow them, and they will instantly scream power, even through your shirt. Even if your arms aren't massive yet, built forearms make them look thicker, and this is one of the rare muscle groups where veins show up fast. You don't even need to be shredded. Train them right, and those veins will pop like road maps. So, if you want arms with a badass look, start with your forearms, because nothing screams strength like a handshake that feels like it could crush concrete. The second reason is that your forearms will help you get a better overall physique. Let me explain. You're mid-set, destroying your workout, then boom. Your forearms are on fire, your grip dies, and the bar starts slipping like a wet fish. Your forearms aren't just for show, they're the bridge between your strength and the weight you're lifting. You can have monster back muscles, but if your grip gives out first, that sets over before it even starts. Stronger forearms give you a stronger grip, which means better performance. Pull-ups, deadlifts, rows, every pulling movement gets easier when your forearms can actually keep up. The last reason is something that ruins way too many workouts: elbow pain. You know that sharp sting you get when you do curls or bench press? It's not because of fatigue, it's probably because of your forearms. When there's an imbalance between the muscles that flex your wrist and the ones that extend it, your elbows pay the price. That's where those lovely names come from, tennis elbow and golfer's elbow. One means your flexors are weak, the other means your extensors are weak. But no need to pick sides, both are equally painful. The good news is that you can quickly fix that by adding forearms exercises to your program. Little by little, you'll balance things out and your elbows will stop screaming every time you touch a dumbbell. Alright, time for the unfair truth. When it comes to forearms, genetics play a massive role, just like calves. Some people were just born with forearms that look like they've been gripping Thor's hammer since birth. Others? Well, let's say they are not so lucky. It mostly comes down to bone length and muscle insertions, the spots where your muscles attach. If you've got long muscle bellies, congrats, you've basically won the forearm lottery. Your muscles have more room to grow, and you'll get that thick, full look easier. But if your muscle bellies are short, well, let's just say the gains won't pop as much visually. Unfair? Yeah. But before you throw your dumbbells across the room, relax. This doesn't mean you can't grow them. It just means your progress will look different. Maybe not as huge, but definitely more defined, veiny, and strong. Genetics set the limits, but your consistency decides how close you get to them. So stop blaming your DNA and start blaming your skipped sets. And to actually build those forearms, you don't even need fancy exercises or to spend 3 extra hours at the gym. You just need the right moves that hit the 3 main jobs your forearms do: elbow flexion, wrist flexion and extension, and grip strength. And believe it or not, you can even train them with rice. Yeah, but we'll get to that part later. But before we get into the exercises, here's something most lifters don't realize. Your forearm isn't just one muscle. It's a whole squad of smaller muscles working together, and not all of them grow equally. Some have huge hypertrophy potential, others not so much. That's why you see guys training their forearms for months doing wrist curl and zero sign of growth. Because spoiler alert, the muscles involved in the wrist flexion are not the one with the best hypertrophy potential. If you want big forearm, the star of the show is the brachioradialis. And no, it's not a dinosaur. This is the muscle that sits right on the top part of your forearm, close to your elbow. With the highest growth potential, it makes your arms look powerful. So if you're chasing aesthetics, this muscle is doing 90% of the work. To target it, simple. Use neutral or pronated grips. That's why your first go-to exercise here is the hammer curl. Dumbbells, cable rope, machine, doesn't matter. As long as your palms face each other, you're golden. But the real MVP? The reverse curl. It hits the brachioradialis hard and works your wrist extensors at the same time, which means bigger forearms and healthier elbows. Super underrated exercise, and yet super easy to sneak into your biceps workout. Moving on to the second team of your forearms, the wrist flexors and extensors. They're the ones responsible for bending and extending your wrists. And yeah, they're also the little troublemakers behind most elbow pains we talked about earlier. These muscles don't have crazy growth potential. They won't suddenly make your forearms look like Bakis, but strengthening them is key for keeping your elbows pain-free. If you actually want to train these muscles properly and save time, the wrist roller is your best friend. You know, that stick with a rope and a weight hanging at the end. Depending on how you roll the rope, you will target different muscles. Roll it upward, you hit the wrist extensors. Roll it downward, you hit the wrist flexors. Just make sure you're not holding it straight out in front of you like you're trying to fly. Otherwise, you'll fry your shoulders before you even touch your forearms. Keep your elbows slightly bent, close to your body, and roll nice and controlled. And finally, the last piece of the forearm puzzle, your grip. This one's all about the muscles that control your fingers and hand, the ones hiding deep under the surface. They won't make your forearms look bigger, but they'll make you stronger. And a strong grip means stronger lifts, and stronger lifts mean more gains overall. The easiest way to train your grip is those classic grippers, those little spring-loaded hand crushers that look like toys but burn like hell. You can use them anywhere, between sets, at your desk, in the bathroom, that works too. Or even while watching one of my videos. Boom. Brain and forearm gains at the same time. That's what I call gains optimization. You can also optimize your workouts by using fat grips. They're basically thick rubber sleeves you wrap around your barbell or dumbbells. Once they're on, the bar gets thicker, harder to hold, and suddenly, every rep becomes a grip workout on autopilot. Cheap, effective, and perfect if you're short on time. Just don't overuse it, so that your biceps or back workout doesn't turn into a forearms workout only. And for those of you who want an alternative, let me introduce you to the rice bucket training. Grab a bucket, fill it with rice, and dig your hands in like you're looking for buried treasure. Twist, claw, squeeze, open, and move in every direction. Sounds weird? Yeah, it is, but it builds insane grip and wrist strength. Now, for those who really want to focus on building stronger and bigger forearms, here are 2 quick setups you can do without turning your workout into a full-time job. Start with 4 sets of hammer curls, 10 to 20 reps. It hits the brachioradialis, the muscle that gives your forearms that dense, 3D look. Then grab a wrist roller. Do 3 sets rolling up and 3 sets rolling down. One direction works the wrist flexors, the other hits the extensors. Finish with some grip work. Grippers, or the good old rice bucket, will both do the job. For the second workout, same plan, but swap the hammer curls for reverse curls. Start simple. Hit them twice a week to get your body used to the new workload. Then, if your recovery is solid and you really want to focus on growing them, crank it up to 3-4 times per week. Sounds like overkill? Not at all.